Welcome to the Getting Unstuck podcast, where we dive into all things law of attraction, manifesting, and what is keeping you stuck in your current reality loop and how to turn it around. My name is Anya and I am your host. In this episode, I want to talk about being truly you, being authentically yourself. It's taken me many years to get to my authentic self, and many of those years have been rather painful, trying to please people around me so that I could feel okay. The need to have others confirm that I am a good person, that I am doing things right, that who I am fits in somewhere. Only if I have the approval of others can I allow myself to feel okay about myself. But the approval of myself didn't last. This was because, since the last time I had the approval, I had done things, thought things, and had opinion about things. And now I wasn't sure anymore if I was being okay. Now the jury was out, and I wasn't sure anymore if I was still a good person or not. The people out there would have to validate me again because I was unsure again. And it looked something like this. At work, I know how to do my job. I know the job really well. So most of the time, I do it very well. Those around me have come to expect the standard from me, and I'm happy to meet that standard. I like to know that I have pleased those around me and that they are in agreement with me about what I feel I'm capable of doing. It feels good. I know who I am in that role, and I know that when I behave in a particular way, that I get the response that I'm looking for. This is where I have had the confirmation of those around me that I am okay. This allows me to feel that I really am okay. So long as we are in this cycle, then everything is okay in my world. I want to be accepted and recognized for my strengths, and when I perform in this manner, then I get what I want to make me feel good. But if I make a mistake, then to me, my world crumbles. My self-talk is beating me up in a spectacular fashion. The mistake seems huge and all-consuming. It is the biggest thing in my head, and now the perception that the people around me have must meet that catastrophe in my head. They probably think that I am no good, that I fake it to get away with it most of the time. They probably see the real me, and the real me is simply just not good enough. It's okay. But it's not what they expect of me. So the punishment continues in my head until I go to bed. The whole evening I'm reliving the scenario and telling myself off for making such a silly mistake that has now cost me the good opinion of those working with me. I feel terrible. I feel like a failure, and a failure in life. I know that I will have to work extra hard the next day, or even the next week, to make up for that mistake. And I'll have to be super careful not to make any mistakes at all so I can redeem myself in the eyes of my colleagues. I have to censor myself completely and dial back the little quirks that I have let slip out. Laugh a little softer so I don't have to draw everyone's attention to me when I'm trying to blend into the background until the mistake is faded in everyone's memory and I can be okay again. Does this kind of scenario sound familiar to you? It may not be the exact same type of scenario for you, and you probably have a different kind of reaction to your mistakes, whatever that looks like for you. It can be the way that you may struggle to say no to people, or the way that you feel like you have to always keep the peace with everyone, that it's better for you to be uncomfortable rather than witness anyone else around you being uncomfortable. It is better to give to others than to receive. It's much more noble, and it feels good. Giving is a much better place to be in than to receive. Sure, it does feel good when someone does something nice for you, like washing the dishes or giving you a card on your birthday. But the splurge is always for someone else. In fact, it makes you feel uncomfortable to have a fuss made about you. This way of being feels more natural to you. You like to be busy all the time. There's just so much that needs to be done. You don't actually have time to spend on yourself. You have to put your focus on everyone else, otherwise stuff just won't get done. And only you know the schedule and can handle it effortlessly so that everyone else around you can have an easy, flowing day. Does this one sound familiar? Always doing things for others, always being busy and focusing on those around you. You don't need to focus on yourself. There's nothing to find there anyway. But this is like building your house on sand. One storm can wash it all away. While it may seem noble and like the good thing to do to put your entire focus on those around you and completely forget about yourself, it's a very unhealthy thing to do. Because you place your happiness and worth on the reaction of those around you, and you try to be what they want you to be, because that is when you get positive response from them and you can conclude that you are okay. While it is normal and healthy to want to create harmony with our family, friends, and work colleagues, it becomes problematic when we base our worth on their reaction to us. That only when they approve can we feel okay within ourselves. It makes our sense of self-worth very precarious as we place it in the hands of others. We have no control over what others think of us, how they perceive us, and how they judge us. They will do whatever they want, whatever they think is right, and it has nothing to do with you. All you have control over is you. You can only influence yourself. You can only be sure about yourself. But if you have been focused predominantly on those around you, it can feel very strange and foreign to focus on yourself. It can even feel scary, like you're doing something wrong for focusing on yourself. But if you want to manifest the life of your dreams, then you have to focus on yourself. You have to get to know yourself. You have to get intimate with yourself. You have to get to know yourself as you truly are. You are uniquely you. You have a particular way of being and seeing the world. No one else sees it the way that you do, and they don't need to. The importance is that you are here in this life and you get to have a life that you love. And in order to have that, you have to know who you are. Being truly you can seem really daunting, because if you are the person that you feel inside that you are, you may not be liked by those around you anymore. You may find that people will reject parts of you and make you feel shame, not good enough, too much, too boring, too wild, etc. And the fear of being rejected is often too big to be ignored. But what if I told you that being truly you is way more fun? What if being truly you creates a life that you want to be fully present in? One where the people around you like you, where they enjoy you, and where they want to experience life together with you, where there's no people pleasing at the expense of you, but rather an expression of you and a co-creating with those around you, where it feels like people around you are in harmony with you, most of the time anyway. You get your power back when you find your truth. You don't have to look outside of you for confirmation that you are okay, that you are doing the right thing, that you are living your life in a way that makes others approve of you. You get to choose the kind of life you want to live, how you want it to feel like for you, and how you want it to look like. Because more often than not, the life that someone else has chosen for themselves and that makes them happy and thrive is not the life that will make you happy and thrive. For some reason, we've been sold the idea that there's only one or two ways to live a happy and successful life, and that all 8 billion of us should live that kind of life. It seems silly when it's spelled out like this, doesn't it? And that is because it is silly. We all have our things that we like and don't like, the things that make us happy and sad, the things that fulfill us and the things that drain the life out of us. And all of that is okay. There is no right way. There's only the right way for you. And in order to live a life that is right for you, you need to know who you are. Sure, you probably have a pretty good idea about the life you live and whether or not you like it. But do you know yourself? Do you know who you are deep down in your heart of hearts? Or do you bypass yourself and make yourself like the things that others like and follow the things that others follow? Do you do those things because it's what you really want? Or do you do it to fit in and to be a part of the in crowd? The nuances are often very subtle. Our conditioning is so deeply ingrained that it often feels like we do want what everyone else wants. And because the trends move so quickly, thanks to social media, we get swept up in the whirlwind of it all. We don't have the time to ponder the current trend and come to our own conclusion of whether or not we actually like it, or if it even feels good to us. We just go along and follow the trend. But what would your life look like if you took the time to figure out what it is you actually want? If you slowed yourself down and sat with yourself to get to know yourself? because you are powerful. You are a powerful creator who has forgotten who you are. You've been disconnected from your power and placed your attention away from yourself, and thereby given your power over to others, on their opinion, on their way of doing things, on their judgments of what is right and wrong, and you have made that your own. So you may feel disconnected in your life experience. It may well feel stressful because of all the things that you need to do to belong to the group. It's a cycle that feels very difficult to get out of. And for the most part, you may not even notice this cycle. All you may notice is that feeling of discontent, of not being quite happy and just living your life as okay. But if you are here and listening to this podcast, then you are yearning for more. You are tired of living your life on autopilot, and you want to live a life that is more fun, more exciting, more energizing. You want to live a life that makes you happy. Welcome to your awakening. In this spiritual community, we talk about our awakening, our realization that there is indeed more. There's more to this life than simply existing and doing the mundane 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and only living those 2 days on the weekend. There is so much more. When you start living your life connected to yourself, to your higher self, your world begins to shift. Often there's a bit of a life redirect, creating some bigger shifts to happen, because the life you've been living up to now just simply isn't good enough for you anymore. And for the truth of your life to emerge, some of the old things have to move, and many of them have to move away and out of your life. This could be people, it could be a job, it could be friends, it could be your home. It really depends on what part of your life you've been most unhappy with and where you have lived your most inauthentic life in. Once you get to the place where you realize that your happiness is more important than other people's opinions, you will notice the areas in your life that need to change and adjust. This takes courage. It takes courage at first to claim your happiness and your authentic life. But the calling for it creates such a strong draw that when it comes to making changes, you don't mind being uncomfortable for a time, because you know that it will lead to a better life experience. For example, leaving that job that no longer serves you becomes the next logical step. It is not a decision that you have to negotiate with yourself about anymore. You may have the conversation with your partner about it, but you have a deep conviction that it isn't your truth any longer. And while you may not leave that job this hot minute, you know that it isn't a part of your future. You may know what it is that you want instead. It's probably been something that you've been wanting to do for a very long time, but never felt like it is possible or practical to do. But now the time has come to follow your heart, to follow your happiness, and you begin the exit strategy and the plan to follow your happiness. You begin the exit strategy and plan the path to your heart's desire. This change in direction can feel unsettling, but it also feels right on a very deep level. And that is where your truth is. Your truth is that core of you, the innermost part of your heart. And it is this innermost part of you that knows all of you, and it approves of you. It is your biggest cheerleader and is your guide to get you to where you want to be. We have just been led to believe that we can't trust in ourselves, that we need to deny our heart and follow the logical plan that has been laid out for us by them, because they know better what kind of life is good for us, and our happiness isn't a central part of that plan. You will simply be happy when you've reached that life that they say you should aim for, and that's that. Now you know better for yourself. Now you've come to understand that you are the genie in the bottle when it comes to your dream life. You can make your life the way you want it to be, and fostering the connection to yourself will open the way for you. You may think this is all good and well, but what the heck does this mean in practice? How do you create the life you really want? Wouldn't everyone be doing the same thing? Wouldn't everyone want to be rich and famous? Who would be the normal people? This is part of the illusion. Not everyone wants to be rich and famous. In fact, there are so many people who would think that being rich and famous would be their worst nightmare. So let go of that kind of thinking. Not everyone wants the same thing. And what does it matter what other people want anyway? The important thing is to focus on yourself. Make your dream life your focus. Let other people do whatever they want and make you your most important focus point. That is when you begin to create the life of your dreams. Become so focused on yourself that you don't care what others are doing. Release them to their own creating and focus on yours. Being truly you means you have to get to know yourself, to make peace with all parts of yourself, making your happiness important, learning to take care of yourself. Spend time in meditation. Quieten your active mind. Let the world inside of you quieten down and allow the inner voice to be heard. The inner voice of your dreams, your desires, the inner voice of your authentic self. This inner and authentic voice is quiet. It is gentle and subtle. It guides and inspires. It will never overpower you or shout at you. So you have to learn how to hear it and how to trust it. It's like nurturing a romantic relationship. You have to make time for it. You have to spend quality time with yourself without the distraction of TV, social media, books, etc. Spend time getting to know yourself. Notice the things that have made you happy. Reflect on your day. What went well? What didn't go well? And most importantly, what state of mind were you in? Were you feeling happy and content? Were you feeling frustrated and annoyed? What was going on just before you had that argument? What were you thinking about? Or what state of emotion were you thinking just before your colleague brought you that cup of coffee and that slice of cake? All of this matters. When you notice what you predominantly feel, what state of mind you are in most of the time, and what kind of experiences you keep having, you are stepping into your power. Because once you become aware of yourself and you realize that people are responding to your energy, your state of being, you can start changing your life experiences. Practice noticing all the lovely things around you. The beautiful sunrise, the lovely spring flowers everywhere, how delicious the cup of coffee tastes, how nice it is when people smile back at you. You will start to realize how lovely life actually is. There's often a lag time in the beginning where your old habitual thinking has created situations and you find yourself in undesirable experiences. Just don't let those set you back. Persist. Persist in feeling good. Persist in cultivating your truth, your guidance, and allow things to unfold the way that you want them to be. Notice all the little improvements. Notice how you feel better and better. Make that your priority. Look for the evidence that your life is actually pretty good, no matter how small and insignificant they may seem. It all adds up, and before you know it, your life will be a very different experience. It is possible.